Regardless of your feelings towards it, the finale of Star Trek. Discovery's final episode represents a significant turning point in the broader Star Trek world. It wasn't always simple to enjoy the show. It found it difficult to establish and preserve a consistent identity, and it frequently felt as though it had to take one or more steps back for every creative stride it made. For the vast array of people it featured, it wasn't always able to find enough stories. It was a very different kind of Star Trek program, one that only rarely succeeded in capturing the daring, pioneering spirit of its predecessors. Its hyper-focus on Michael Burnham, a former mutineer who is now a Starfleet captain, and its signature emotional feel and love of talking through problems, made for a very different kind of Star Trek show. Star Trek. Discovery has concluded its 5-season run, and the series finale is conclusive. Paradoxically, the creators of Discovery say that Season 5 wasn't intended to be the conclusion of the narrative. After filming was finished, the decision was made to terminate the series. However, in order to film the series finale coda, which sends the U.S. Discovery on a farewell mission, Paramount gave the Discovery team permission to regroup the cast and crew. The episode leaps forward a few decades to reveal the technology used by the progenitors. There, Zora and the U.S. Discovery embark on a tragic final mission, and viewers get to witness Captain Michael Burnham, Book, and their family. Even though it feels unfinished, the series finale provides viewers with information on the advanced technology used by the extraterrestrial ancestors of modern humans in the cosmos. It discovers something fascinating about the enigmatic Dr. Kovich as well, whose office is filled with Easter eggs from previous Star Trek episodes. In the closing moments, it is shown that Michael Burnham and Cleveland Booker have a happy ending and their extended family is introduced. There is still much to learn about the crew's destiny, and the time jump opens up new possibilities for tales involving this ship and her occupants. Following the conclusion of Lagrange Point, the penultimate episode of Discovery, Michael Burnham and Mal both leaped through the hole that opened up to the progenitor's technological realm. Burnham discovered a location inside that defied spatial physics. She could navigate via portals that led to hundreds of different worlds within this enormous room. She eventually located Mal, and the two of them collaborated to discover the mysteries of this technology. Although Mal remained determined to revive Lack, even these highly developed entities were unable to evade death in that manner. Michael Burnham discovers how to correctly activate the technology after Mal is eliminated by a security system guardian. When she does, she runs across a progenitor, albeit not the same one from The Chase, an episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation. Although there is a fee associated with using the technology, she has earned the right to do so. She is intended to abandon her life and protect the technology for all eternity, just as the progenitor did. She also finds out that the progenitors did not design the technology that was used to seed humanoid life on hundreds of worlds. They also found out about it. Dr. Kovich finds what she finally chooses to be frustrating, nevertheless. Michael Burnham takes a commanding decision rather than returning the technology to Starfleet for further analysis. Burnham launches the portal that houses these galaxy windows into one of the two black holes that have been assisting in its 8th century hiding place. Even the Federation cannot be trusted with this technology because it is just too strong. In Face the Strange, she witnessed what transpired when the progenitor's technology ended up in the hands of the Breen via her time travels. The people in charge of this antiquated technology would possess the abilities of a god, not just the god. Despite what they might discover by researching it about the beginnings of life in the cosmos, Burnham comes to the realization that this is too much power for anybody to possess. Starfleet has classified the truth about the progenitors and their technology. Returning to the ship, Mal receives medical attention in sickbay. But rather than being sent to a Federation prison, it appears that Dr. Kovich is using her as an operative. The enigmatic doctor appears to be in charge of Section 31, but it becomes clear from their conversation with Michael Burnham that he has a much deeper significance in Star Trek history. Fans of Star Trek, Enterprise will be familiar with him as Agent Daniels, the time agent who led Captain Archer and his crew through the temporal Cold War in that show. Viewers can find Easter eggs from previous Star Trek seasons at Kovich's office. A baseball similar to the one Captain Benjamin Sisko had at Deep Space Nine is there. A bottle of Chateau Picard wine is present. He is also flaunting Geordi LaForge's visor. He tells Burnham that he was a member of the U.S. Enterprise among other ships, which may imply that a younger Daniels would show up in a future Star Trek. Odd New Worlds episode. Although the NX-01 Enterprise lacked the U.S. designation that Starfleet ships acquired after the Federation was established, he did serve on it. He was assigned as a temporal agent to guard the NX-01 from interference from temporal Cold War operatives. Crewman Daniels was his name aboard Enterprise. Even after appearing to be murdered multiple times, he continued to make appearances. He wrecked the future when he attempted to save Captain Archer from being abducted once. Fortunately, Archer returned. Daniels did not show up to Archer until the very end of the Enterprise Season 4 cliffhanger episodes, informing him that he had assisted in putting a stop to the temporal war, which took place off-screen and affected shows like Strange New Worlds, Discovery, and maybe other ones. Saru and T'Rina were married by the U.S. Discovery crew by the sea, a few weeks after they destroyed the progenitor's portal. Cleveland Booker informs Burnham that his sentence for misconduct during Discovery Season 4 has been commuted when he arrives late due to a run-in with Talaxian pirates. Book and Burnham make the decision to live out the rest of their lives together right then and there. Rather than allowing viewers to envision the tale on their own, the episode fast-forwards several decades to show what that looks like. Book and Michael Burnham arrived on a planet with red trees and grass, as well as an extraterrestrial mammal called Alice that resembled a deer. This is a reference to Amanda Grayson's reading of Alice in Wonderland to Burnham and Spock, which Burnham cherished. The Starfleet officer escorting Burnham turns out to be her and Book's kid as a shuttle arrives to take her aboard Discovery for one final mission. After their son was just promoted to captain, his mother gives him some hard-earned guidance on the value of family and how it would eventually encompass his crew while they are traveling to the ship. Though it is established that Sylvia Tilly is the Starfleet Academy instructor with the longest tenure, the locations of the other members of the crew remain unknown. After 6 years, Burnham uses the bridge to dispatch Zora and her spacecraft on a mission to find the answer to a question. Though depressing, the U.S. Discovery and Zora's last mission shows that the creators have kept their word. Zora, the sentient AI aboard the ship, was first presented in the second episode of Short Treks, which aired prior to the start of Discovery's second season. Zora, dubbed Calypso, after the Odyssey character of the same name, saves a Voyager in an escape pod called Craft. He was a reluctant soldier from Alcor 4 fighting the Vidrage. After an indeterminate period of time on the ship, Zora began to sense a connection with him. In the end, she gave him the ship's final warp-capable shuttle, sending him back to his wife in Alcor 4. Admiral Michael Burnham arrives on board Star Trek Discovery Season 5 to send her on this mission in the episode's closing moments. It's a red directive, much like in the first episode of the season, and it indicates that Zora deliberately left. Having spent a millennium waiting in Calypso, she claimed to have to maintain her deep space watch after sending Craft on his way. Burnham assures her, nonetheless, that there will be a time when you come back to Federation space for a new beginning. Zora is told by Burnham that she can locate their ancestors. Additionally, there is a scene in the Short Treks episode that depicts the ship being converted back to its original design, including the removal of the A from its registry number, because the program aired before to Discovery's move to the 32nd century. All of the producers had stated that Discovery's demise would be consistent with Calypso. The ship that housed this crew meets a sad end. Zora is left alone as she is destined to wait millennia out in outer space. Craft's significance isn't explained in the last scene, although Dr. Kovach, a time agent, probably has his reasons. Nevertheless, considering Burnham's age at the time of the scenario, it implies Burnham might return to the U.S. Discovery for a Star Trek film. Otherwise, fans will probably have to use their imaginations to determine the purpose of this mission and its outcome unless the universe reaches the 42nd century.